What the fuck is up, guys? It is your least favorite Cajun, Tejana, lesbian, journalist troll, Neenz, back for episode 4 of the Rantz by Neenz podcast. Doggett versus Casar, extended edition. Let's get into it. This is the topic of my latest rant, why Lloyd Doggett's last stand is a betrayal of Central Texas progressives. And let me break it down for you. So, first of all, let me preface this by saying, like most things going on in this country right now, the blame really sits with Donald M.F.ing Trump. He has done exactly what he promised he would do during the election, which is why I told you MFers to get with the program and start planning ahead for what would happen should Harris lose. You guys did not want to hear that. Y'all wanted to be on some BS like you didn't need an insurance policy. Well, here we are. Project 2025 is in full effect. They are persecuting and incarcerating the homeless. They are infiltrating Washington, D.C. They are doing mass deportations and kidnappings and disappearings of immigrants, people who have a criminal record and who don't have a criminal record neither of them should be treated like this. Just FYI. It is horrific what is going on. It was all telegraphed. Every evil industry is making money right now, from the social media tech oligarchs to the private prison industry to the weapons manufacturer. Like, this is, they are tearing down Medicaid. This is one of the most predictable and worst turns in American political history. That's just my opinion. So let me preface it by saying that if Attorney General Merrick Garland had done his job after 2020 and incarcerated Donald Trump, none of this would be happening. But Donald Trump was the Democratic establishment figured that Trump, I guess, I don't know what they were thinking, but what I think they must have been thinking was, wow, we let Donald Trump off the hook. He's going to be so grateful to not be thrown in prison post insurrection that he will just go away based on nothing. That obviously didn't happen. He returned stronger. You actually have to address a cult. You can't just let it run rampant. I don't know if y'all learned anything with Scientology, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, everything he's doing, which he did not want to do in the first term, because, and this is all reported, you can do, look at Maggie Haberman or whatever that goofball's name is in the New York Times. He did not want to do a lot of this stuff because he feared voter backlash, and he feared not being able to come back for a second term. So, this is like the fantasy term of the Trump presidency. And there's still one remaining check and balance that could potentially, and I don't even think that the threat is that great, but without it, there's just really, they're going to run roughshod over the next 3 years, and it's going to be horrible. But the one remaining check on their power is a Democratic House of Representatives after the midterms. So what do they do to manufacture seats? Well, Texas is the most obvious opportunity for redistricting, because we have a governor that will literally do anything to impress Trump and Trump's crowd. He is a power hungry, disgusting, just son of a gun. So basically what's happening is, in order to prepare for the midterms and make sure that the voters don't give the Democrats the authority to do any investigations or be able to stop legislation and be a check on their power, they need to make sure that the midterm maps, the congressional midterm maps, are as in the House of Representatives, are as favorable to Republicans as possible. So what do? They go to the state with a corrupt governor and say, you Democrats in your state already have no power. Can't you just take a couple more of their seats? And that's basically what has happened. That's what the news is talking about, the Texas redistricting fight. That's why the Texas Democrats, and these are the Democrats in the state legislature, Texas, that's why because the new maps that Trump wants would have to be approved by the state legislature. Does that make sense? So the reason that the Democrats walked out, well, mostly optics in my opinion, but explicitly, the point of all that, them running away to whatever, and then the dipshit governor just being completely ridiculous, talking about them being cowards when he can't even manage a functioning minority. He has to run the state like a dictator, like an oligarch, or like a Russian oligarch. So he's disgusting. He's a hypocrite, and he's the worst. But just for all that is purpose, so they need to pick up a state. They need to pick up a seat, right? Well, there's not that many blue areas left in Texas as there is. They're all around major cities, right? So why not take Doggett and Casar and just knock one of them off? That makes more sense than for them. That's what makes sense to the state Republicans. And I'm just talking about what's going to affect us. So when this all went down, I literally was like, because Doggett was widely expected to do one more 2-year term, run for re-election one more time, and then retire. He's a million years old. So all of this to say, Doggett, I figure, okay, Doggett's going to retire. Well, then all of a sudden it's like, no, Doggett's not going to retire. And he's willing to, and he puts out this crazy email that's basically like, well, Republicans, my old district basically is Austin, so seems really natural that I would stay in Austin and run for the seat. And Greg is Mexican, and there's a lot of disaffected Mexicans in this new district that 37, that would have been won by Trump by 10 points in 2024. So Doggett's like, you're Mexican, go to the Trump district near San Antonio because there's a lot of Mexican people up there. Pretty rude. So that's just basically, and my rant was just saying, it's ridiculous. Lloyd, this is not the fight that you need to be having right now. It is irresponsible. It is a distraction. And it is, and in my opinion, it is incredibly selfish. So I think Lloyd should do the right thing. I know that this is a very taboo subject among a lot of Central Texas progressives view him as, and this is a shout out to Mike Clark Madison and his newsletter Boom Scrolling. He talked today or in this week's newsletter about how, and I'll link to it here as well, how, and I know this to be true as well, coming from just having worked with Doggett, in terms of reporting or, on article stuff when I was with the Monitor, and just having heard the respect that people had for him. But anyway, as Mike says, like, he's like I forget the word that he used, pardon me, but it's like he was on a pedestal for years, and he's never had a significant challenge. And Mike suggests, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but that's what I felt like the thesis was, that, he feels that ultimately Doggett will not, will know that this is a heelish move. I have heard from other sources that they anticipate this will actually end up in a bloody battle between the two in a primary. And it's Doggett has the money, and again, Mike questions whether he will really go scorched earth and spend it all on a race against Greg, which is, it's like, on one hand, he's 1,000,000 years old. What does he need all the money for? What does he really need the job for? Similarly, but Greg has a lot going for him that was the other thing that I just thought was so incredibly rude about that CNN interview that Doggett did over the weekend, when he was questioned by the anchor about, after he was questioned by the anchor about challenging Greg, or going against Greg. And he says, he ends the soundbite, saying something, to the effect of, some of us are good at legislating and others are good at social media. And I think that is a very reductive way to look at the work that Greg does and the way that he is able to, and I say that as a constituent. I just don't, I think it's an old man showing his ass in this situation, because social media, it's like talking about TV versus radio. Like, oh, you're going on TV. Like, you're connecting with people in the manner that people are connected with, or in the manner that people want to be connected with at this point. So I resent, and I think a lot of digital organizers would take issue with that sentiment. And also, I don't think that it's, I'm not sure, other than getting money for things, and somebody else pointed out to me, it's like, what has Doggett really done in terms of heavy legislating? He's known for getting money from, in various packages and omnibus, and, kind of helping, send the stuff with the FFA. But again, what's ever been done about that? You know what I mean? He sent some strongly worded letters, and the FFA reauthorization that we just got was shit, and pretty much acknowledged to be shit. And Ted Cruz celebrated it. So if that tells you anything. So yeah, I just think it's unfortunate. Hopefully, the public pressure does start to weigh on him. But I think he is walking right into the Republican trap here. So I will just go ahead and say that. Okay. Part 2. The budget fight is over for now. Austin's budget passed 10-1 with Mark Duchin, which I'm going to get to him later in another rant, or in the final report card. I might save it for that, but he needs a ass chewing. And despite his no vote, council just passed a budget. I know a lot of the activist community and a lot, observers were pretty surprised that council actually followed through on their promises to fund, more of the community investment budget that has been has been adopted as part of a budget process since Equity Action started advocating for one. So good job, losers. Partially good job, but also this all hinges on the tax rate election, and I don't want to explain it. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. But if it fails, we're all going to worry about it. I'm going to have to do a whole thing on this. So pray that it passes so that I don't have to bother you and explain what you really don't need to know. But the tax rate election, if it fails, will ruin everything that council just put together. So I really want everyone to temper their enthusiasm until we do a successful campaign to convince voters to adopt higher taxes, which I know they're inflating this 20% bullshit. Like, I'm not trying to get into all that. It's like $40 a month for the average homeowner. Homie, you know who you are. You're welcome. So, times are tough. This is an investment to make sure that the city stays healthy, safe, clean, that we start investing in communities, marginalized communities that need it. And before you selfishly say, how does that affect me? When all of us live in a good community, we're all safer, we're all more healthier, and don't correct my grammar, kiss my ass. I grew up talking to myself, chewing my own toenails, so I don't need your input. I taught myself how to read. Point being, I am fully supportive of the TRE. It is necessary for Austin to go forward. Unfortunately, council forced our hands on this. We may have already needed to do one, but it definitely had to happen after this shitty police budget that they put into effect. So, if the voters don't see the return on investment as I do, we could be in big trouble. And again, that means bad things for city services. That means bad things for everybody. City workers, people who live on the streets, people who live in houses, people who live in apartments, people who live on the west side, people who live on the east side, people who live on the south side, people who live on the north side, people who live in outside of the, in the ETJ. It is bad for everyone. So, you freeloaders in the ETJ. Ooh, I didn't say that. Come at me, bitches. Anyway, that's all to say. Don't get complacent. Let's worry about the tax rate election. However, and I'm going to do thank God I got my fucking pay. I'm going to do something on this later, but basically, because I have to do some more reporting on it, but we'll see if we can, if it fails, there may be a silver lining there. So let's move on, because I don't want to give anything away. But basically, okay. Next, I want to talk about, are you subscribed to Area 512? Do you know what Area 512 is? Okay. whether you said yes or no, Area 512 is the podcast, the Austin-based San Antonio Spurs centric podcast co-hosted by me and my homie Nate. We love the Spurs. We are going to lock in for the season, which starts, I don't know, in a couple months. But anyway, we are still doing podcasts. We just had an episode where we talked about the Summer Spurs. Check it out. I'm going to link to it on Spotify, Apple Music, pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast. It is very much, it is just listen to it. Don't argue with me. Anyway, I'm really excited. Nate and I get into the Summer Spurs. We talk about Carter Bryant. Talk about just expectations for the season and stuff. And you're going to have to listen to it. But I think the Spurs are in a great position. I think it's going to be a really exciting season. These guys, I mean, and Nate and I talk about this, but it's worth repeating. We've never been so stacked. I don't remember the last time we had rotation choices like this. We may have never, because the big three, the rotations were so solid for so many years. I don't know that I've ever experienced, and so many young guys. I remember when we had one young guy on the team at a time for like 20 years. Now there's just a million guys. I don't like the Jeremy Sohan. I think Jeremy Sohan both gets like slandered and also maybe sometimes too much credit. Like the Hoop Collective podcast, that's the ESPN sports writers. It's their podcast. They just redrafted the 2022 NBA draft where Jeremy went number 10, I believe. And they did not redraft him in the lottery. So I think that's unfair. I think a lot of it has to do with role. And just because you can't shoot. And I think people are not even like really paying attention because he can shoot more. He can shoot better than he gets credit for. And I think people don't give him a chance to improve. You've seen strides every year, and I think he can do more. So that's just my opinion. But anyway, I think sometimes like that's too harsh for him because he has a lot of athleticism. He has a lot of playmaking ability. He has a great defensive. I mean, even I'm going to go back and see what guys they drafted over him. I don't know if they wrote it down or anywhere, but it's like, are you kidding me? This defensive pest, you're not even putting him you're not redrafting him in the top 14. Like, kiss my ass. Once again, McMahon and Bontemps, just complete haters. Just hateration. Number 1 and 2, best in the world. Hate them. Anyway, what else? That's pretty much. Just see. Oh, anyway, I don't want to step on the next Area 512 podcast. So we shall. We shall return to this topic, but please follow us on the platforms, subscribe, share with your friends, share it online. Bro, we need to work on the video. We need to do the video because I don't know. I think that's more that it'll people like the video. People want to see the visage. Okay, forgive me. I'm really trying to figure out how to like edit this better. So, we'll see. But anyway. Okay, next. And we're going to try to keep this short as well because I want to do it more often. So maybe if I do them shorter. and then I get in the process. And I'm also writing down how I'm doing it so that I can kind of build more of a structure. I promise I'm working, guys. I think this is the fourth section. Okay, section 4. We are quickly approaching, well, I don't know about quickly, but let's say quickly, approaching 500 homies, 500 email subscribers. We are less than 75 subscribers away, free subscribers away from hitting 500. That is a huge benchmark, guys. The fact that we're continuing to grow, and again, I still have not nailed down, although I am working on my digital advertising strategy. So don't give up on me, Joe. But I feel confident that this year we can get 75 more. So it's a bit of a it's a stretch, because I think I've gotten like 25 since March. So I'll really need to double down, triple down, but with your help, I think we can do it. It's crunch time. We need to let as many people know about Rantz as possible. We need to ask them to subscribe to the free email newsletter at rantzbyneenz.com. And if you are already a paid free subscriber, and you watch the podcast, you listen to the podcast, and you follow me on social media, and you like my clowning around on social media, I would humbly ask if you would consider becoming a paid subscriber for $5 a month. I'm going to link to this in the bio, or in the description. So you will be able to support me in a free way or a monetary way. And if not, or in addition to, ask someone you know, hey, please subscribe to this email thing and just keep getting it. And if you can open it and read them, that would be even better. So, anything else? That's a rhetorical question, because I am going to close this up at like 27 minutes. And yeah, I just can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for your readership. Thank you for being you. Because that's all we can be in this world. Peace.